Hello and welcome to UC Today. My name's David Dungay. Today I am joined by William Rubio from CallTower and Dave Michaels from Talking Point. Well, welcome to the show, guys. How are we both?
Grand.
Doing pretty good, David. Doing awesome. Thank you very much for having us today.
Fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about channel partners and Operator Connect and how partners can make the most out of this trend towards OC in the future. But before we get into that conversation, let's do a few introductions. William, do you want to kick us off? Tell us a bit about yourself and CallTower.
Sure, no, I'd love to, Dave, and thank you again for having us on and having me on today. So I'm William Rubio. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at CallTower. Been at CallTower over 11 years already, which is kind of a dinosaur in these days overall. But interestingly enough, CallTower, we are a UC and contact center organization that really delivers three key platforms when we really try to focus around Microsoft, Cisco, and Zoom. From a unified communication standpoint, and we really try to provide a full turnkey solution to our customers with a substantial amount of add-ons to really make sure to deliver that end-to-end solution. We currently service about 70 to 75 countries on a global level, and really excited about today's conversation.
Fantastic. And Dave?
Dave Michaels from Talking Points. I'm an industry analyst. I've been watching CallTower, would you say 11 years? All 11 years? Back when you only had one platform. I remember those days. So great to catch up with you here and find out what you're doing with your latest invention here.
Great. Well, let's get straight into that first question then. Operator Connect, obviously the one of the big launches from Microsoft over the last couple of years, although there have been many. But how is Operator Connect now impacting the MSP environment, and how are partners really adjusting to this transition towards Operator Connect? William, do you want to kick us off on that one? What are you thinking about in this area?
Yeah, sure. No, I really appreciate that, Dave. I think when you really start to look at the way, if you want to call it Microsoft and Microsoft Teams and their voice initiatives have really evolved over the last several years, it's really been kind of amazing to actually see that. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize that Microsoft has had voice on their services going back to the days of what they used to call OCS, which was Office Communicator, and then it kind of evolved into Microsoft Link, and then it evolved to Microsoft Skype, and then now obviously we're in Microsoft Teams. And even with Teams, and went with direct routing first of all, and then now you're looking at Operator Connect. And I think when you really look at that evolution, and that's probably about a 15, 16-year evolution overall of where it started and where it's come from, there's really been kind of a convergence in the industry overall. You kind of always had voice and the IT guys kind of separated within an organization, and one kind of really didn't speak to the other, and they kind of ran their own organizations. And now what you're seeing is that convergence overall, that the MSPs, which really in most cases only spoke really to the IT teams, they're now also having those conversations with voice, and those two organizations or those two departments have come together within an organization. So now the MSP is challenged that the voice part of it that was really kind of unfamiliar with them. Now all of a sudden they're getting asked by the IT organizations to really help solve their voice solutions overall, and they have to learn about it. And I think with Operator Connect, it's really kind of driven the fact that voice is now another application that IT organizations really look at and have to really understand and how to communicate and how to deliver it well to their end users overall. So it's really been a large transition. And right now these MSPs are trying to figure out what's the best solution for our customers. How can we leverage Operator Connect when you start to looking at a Teams environment, and what can we do to really make it better for our customers?
William, I want you to clarify that evolution there. You went back to OCS. You skipped LCS, but you went back to LCS, and you mentioned all these products which are clearly been replaced by Teams. And then you mentioned direct routing and Operator Connect. Direct routing isn't been replaced yet. So are you saying direct routing is kind of obsolete? What are you saying there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dave. I'm not saying it's obsolete today, but you could kind of see the writing on the wall. I think when you look at Operator Connect, and Operator Connect really, if you kind of go back a few years, it launched Unofficially, it was right around, I guess officially September of 2021. So we're kind of now 2.5 years into it. We were one of the initial 5 providers within Operator Connect. There's north of 80 providers now, right? So, I mean, I don't even know what number that is when you go from 5 to over 80. So when you start to look at where the organizations are going, where Microsoft is going with this, and where organizations like CallTower and others, it's really just been a big evolution over the last few years. So I don't think direct routing is going to completely go away anytime soon. But as you start to look at these different geographies and the different areas that you can provide this type of service, I think it is going to become more the mainstream type of way to really connect users to Microsoft Teams.
So let me ask you. I think the question you want me to ask you, but let me ask you. Um, the problem with Operator Connect, and I've looked at this before. It's hard for a lot of vendors to figure out the billing. And so, explain to me what you're doing in the billing space and how you're supporting your customers.
Yeah, that's it's really interesting on the billing part of it. The billing challenge, and a lot of the MSP partners that we work with, they control the customer, right? At the end of the day, it's their customer. They're providing a host of services in addition to connecting them to Microsoft Teams and providing the voice and everything that comes with it on the voice side, whether it's contact center or integrations with CRM or even analog devices for things like overhead paging or failover from Microsoft Teams, all these different things that CallTower does provide. But when you're looking at that, the biggest thing is how do you bill the customer correctly from a taxation standpoint? Whether it's in North America or even in the United States, that you have multiple different taxing codes when you're looking at a state, a local, and even a federal regulations. And then when you start to go to different locations over in EMEA and over in Asia Pac, it starts to get very complex overall. And a lot of the MSPs really just don't have the billing complexity, or the billing platform, I should say, on the back end to really make it successful for them to actually deliver the correct bill. And then at the same time, make sure that they're remitting the correct taxes that they have to the local regulatory agencies, again, whether it's federal or whether it winds up being on a local level. And what CallTower has been able to do is we've been able to go ahead and solve that by launching what we call our Rebiller platform, which really helps these rebillers, as we're naming them, which is really a lot of MSPs, to actually bill on behalf for their customer. So they're actually billing the customer on their paper. They're putting the CallTower services on their paper, and we're helping them solve the taxation piece on the back end. And it's a really evolution, I guess I have to say, type of solution overall, or design that we've come up with for our partners. And it's really interesting the way that they're really grasping and adopting that new type of design form.
You mentioned taxation there, William. What happens when it comes to things like number porting, and how are you looking at those other challenges around multiple geographies as well?
Yeah, we one of the things besides the billing piece of it, which is obviously a major hurdle that a lot of MSPs have to worry about. One of the other things we did is we just recently launched what we call our Operator Connect portal for MSPs. And really, the great thing about that overall is that the MSPs are actually able to work directly with their customers, and they're able to go ahead and enable their customers to actually go ahead and convert over to Microsoft Teams Operator Connect with CallTower. We're kind of more behind the scenes at that point when we're doing this. So they're the ones working directly with the customers, but they're enabling their customers to work within their Office 365 environment to actually enable them within Microsoft Teams. Now, with that, there is the part of porting, which is kind of the necessary evil, right, when you're looking across an organization, because a lot of organizations want to keep their telephone numbers. And what we're able to do is actually automate the part of porting of the numbers through the portal, and then CallTower behind the scenes is working with the vendors or with the MSPs to actually make sure that we're covering all the requirements that come with porting, depending on the country that you happen to be in. So we're working behind the scenes with the MSP, but from a customer standpoint, they're submitting what we call their letter of authorization. Usually it has to be per country, because there's different requirements on a country by country basis that they have to supply some different documents like a business certification and so forth. And we go ahead and we help them with that. But the end user and MSP relationship is the one that's key to us, and they continue to work together, and we're supporting the MSPs really behind the scenes.
Let's double click on that when you say MSPs. So explain to the viewers here, who are you targeting with your particular offer as opposed to the teams and users? Who are these MSPs, and what makes an MSP a good fit for you?
Yeah, I think, Dave, when you look at it, and we're kind of using MSPs kind of generically, right, as a term, as a managed service provider. But I think when you start to look at managed service providers, when you start to look at system integrators, when you start to look at VARs, some value-added resellers, and so forth, it's really a host of organizations that are really working with those end users and really looking at trying to enable them as they migrate into a Microsoft Teams environment overall. So a lot of these organizations just don't have, kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation, they just don't have the voice expertise, right? I mean, they're there to support the customer from an IT standpoint, and now voice has been kind of pushed into their organization or into their rules or responsibilities. And what we're trying to do is we're saying, hey guys, we're the voice experts. That's what we've been doing for 20 plus years. And I've been here for about 11 of those 20 plus years with CallTower. But the interesting thing is that we're trying to make it easy for these organizations to go ahead and help their customers. So for us, we're really targeting to work with organizations that are working with the end users on a host of different items, voice being one of them, and how can they help them get over that hurdle as they look at Microsoft Teams as their voice platform.
I want to go back to direct routing just quickly, and we've mentioned portals, Operator Connect, and obviously direct routing. The writing may be on the wall, but it is very much around and alive and kicking, shall we say? But from an administrator perspective, how does that experience really differ between those two products, if you like, and what can MSPs and customers expect there?
Yeah, I think, well, first and foremost, to make sure that our viewers understand, they're from an end user standpoint, from the employee that's sitting at a desk and so forth, the interface or really the actions and the features are pretty much the same, right? From the routing and Operator Connect. Where the key differences really come in is when, number one, you're looking at the administrator, right? So the administrator now gets to manage the overall experience for their teams within Office 365. So there is that more mainstream type of support when they want to set up E911, when they want to look at the different designs and the different rules that they have, depending on the users, where they're located, what type of enhancements or what type of security levels that you want them to have overall. So it's better because it is sitting more in one environment instead of connecting a voice platform within your IT environment. And then I think, too, is when you really start to look at the back-end support, and I think that this is really something that's not really spoken about all that much, when you do happen to have an issue with voice on Microsoft Teams and Operator Connect, the support that CallTower provides, and then also the back-end support that we work with directly in Microsoft is a completely different group within Microsoft than for direct routing. Direct routing, you're calling into the same support organization that is going to be working on fixing your Microsoft Excel, right? Really not a voice expert per se, when they're kind of a jack of all trades and really master of none. When it's Operator Connect, we're actually working with a specialized group within Microsoft that understands the lingo and really understands the back end of voice and how it actually works. So that means that your mean time to respond, your mean time to repair, and anything else that really comes up is going to be a much better experience for the interactions between the end user, the MSP, CallTower, and Microsoft than you would on direct routing overall. And I think it's not really spoken about that much because I don't think so many people know about it, but it is, you're working with a different specialized group within Microsoft from a support standpoint as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty excited about the Operator Connect opportunity, and I think your rebilling package is pretty interesting because it opens up that opportunity to a lot more vendors, as you said, that may not understand or know or have the expertise and voice. Do you want to just finish up this interview with some words of wisdom to MSPs about how to succeed in voice?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to definitely end it. Obviously going back to the fact that there was 5 and now there's 80 plus, and I would imagine before the end of this year there's probably going to be close to 100. When you're looking at partnering with an operator that is certified within Microsoft Teams, make sure that you do your homework, right? Overall, you want to make sure that somebody that has been doing it for a while, that has a proven relationship overall with Microsoft, and really differentiates themselves. I think in the marketplace, right? A lot of folks look at voice within Microsoft Teams as transactional, and that's really not the way to actually look at it. It's really about how could you provide a full unified communications experience to your customers overall, and you want to make sure that it's everything to do under the sun from a feature standpoint to make sure that you can deliver that. And I think the folks that have that more or have more integrations, and the fact that folks that could do it more on a larger scope, meaning that they could do it across the globe in different areas, and even wound up doing it in areas that are somewhat tough to get into when you start to look at places like India and China and some of the other countries that you just have to work with and understand their regulations. I think when you do that, I think at the end of the day, that's going to be better for your customers. And that's really what we're all looking for.
Fantastic. I think that's a great place to end today's discussion. But thank you to you both for coming along and sharing some of your insights.
Yeah, David, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And Dave, thanks for the great questions. Thanks, guys.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. If you like the conversation, please give us a like and a share on social media. That's it from me. See you next time.